Hi, this is Denise Matthew. I hope you're doing well. I'm back again to talk about the full moon happening on August 1st, 2023. And this is going to be happening at 9 degrees Aquarius, which is a critical degree in astrology, meaning that it may be a little bit more impactful than just a regular full moon. And it does make sense that it may be more impactful because we do have Venus retrograde right now. And Venus brings a very interesting flavor when retrograde. And especially when you look at from a human design perspective, if you look at the Venus that you have placed in your own body graph and where it is, that's going to potentially show you the themes that are being reactivated and kind of coming into your life and giving you food for thought about what's happening with it. Could be your relationships, the money you make, the things that you do for pleasure, what you eat, what you drink. Are you going overboard on any of those types of things? So it could be a lot of different themes that it's bringing up, and everybody's going to be personal to you as to what particular theme is going to happen. And it is important to sort of look at where Venus is in your actual astrology chart to see what house it might be activating. But ultimately, if you just look at your human design body graph and you see where Venus is on your body graph, and I would look at both design and personality, it can kind of give you an idea about the themes that really might be activated, as well as Leo. So right now, Venus is in the gate 29 line 3, and that's where it is right now for this particular full moon. And it is bringing this level of evaluation, or what are you doing in your life and how is it working for you? And is there a way that you can adapt it or change it? Because the third line is always about this idea of changing things up, maybe seeing that things don't work a certain way. Now, of course, during a retrograde, it's not a time for big changes, but it definitely is a time for being retrospective and sort of looking at your life and getting a big picture about where things are and how things stand. And so if, for instance, if you have Venus and it's in the gate 40 in your human design body graph, either side, the personality or design, you could be looking at this idea of maybe not feeling as though you're being appreciated enough for the work that you put into life. And, the gate 40 is an energy that you are working to show love. And so you might feel unappreciated, or you alternatively could always feel appreciated for the work that you're doing. But this is where those types of themes that might show up in your life are starting to potentially come to the forefront and asking you to look at it and say, okay, do you want to do something with this? Are you okay with the way it is? And if not, what are some steps that you can take to change and move it forward? Because that is where Venus is right now in the 29 line 3. It is this evaluation. If you look at the gate 29, this is really talking about the idea of a connection to your body, your form. And it is this idea of having love for your form. I think the most interesting thing to do is, if you're listening to, there's so many love songs out there, and if there's one that you have a favorite, I would not suggest a breakup song, but I would say a love song of any kind. Imagine that love song is a song that you are singing to your body, to your form, to what your incarnation is, because without this form, we don't have a life. And that is what Venus retrograde is also reminding us, that we do have a form. And that's the particular theme right now, because it is in the gate 29, that we do have a form, and we do have a path, and we do have a life purpose, and we do have a flow. But the only way that we can really tune into it is when we're sort of looking at our form and saying, yes, you may not have this, or this, but this is what I need for my life, for my path. That's ultimately the message that Venus is giving us during this retrograde in this particular time. Of course, it's going to change as it goes through the different gates, and those will be different themes that Venus is going to be giving us, but it is spending a lot of time in the gate 29. So that's a big theme that Venus is trying to get across to us. So this is where you're stepping out of the mind spin and stepping into your body and asking, what do you want from me? You're giving your body the opportunity to show you the way, to give you the cues so that you can start to move on the path that you're meant for. And ultimately, that's what we're here for. We're here to walk our path, to be on our own destiny, to go forward and to feel like we are living on purpose. And Venus gives us this opportunity to do that when it's in the gate 29. If we move into the energy of the full moon, we see that the moon is in the gate 19.2, as well as the earth. And this is where we're grounding into a theme of service. Now, the service that comes with the gate 19 is this idea of you just being picked, or somebody sees you, or you're that person that they always call because they know that you'll sort of stand up and do what they want you to do, or you're there to help them. You're always that reliable person that they can call. What happens is that may be perfectly fine for you, and maybe you've always enjoyed being that reliable person, but maybe lately you're starting to think, that may not be for me anymore. Maybe I don't want to do that anymore. And this is really asking you to look at your life and say, are you doing things for other people because you're expected to, because you're being called to, but maybe it's not the right thing for you anymore? The mantra that I always live by is, if I don't really want to do something, I'd rather not do it. And that's something that has taken many years to do, because it's easy to always say yes and to always want to, be nice to people, especially if you have an open G center or you have an open solar plexus or emotional center. This is where you're being asked to say, okay, yes, this is for me, or no, this isn't for me. And if it isn't for you, being okay with saying, no, this isn't going to work for me, and allowing people to see your truth as opposed to what they see as your truth. Second line will always bring this level of innocent projection, or this aura of your projection is saying you're always there, available to do what everybody needs you to do. But that may not necessarily be what truly feels true to you inside. If we look at the sun is in the gate 33 line 2, and this kind of brings in the same energy. It is about the call. The gate 33 is the end of a process, and it is the end of the process of an experience that you've had. After you've had an experience and everything is set, you've gone on a trip, or you've done something, you've reached a goal that you were really wanting to reach, you've graduated from something, or you got that job that you really wanted to get. It's that moment of, okay, I'm here now. And it's like this level of deflation. And sometimes it can feel a little bit down, but it can also feel like, okay, now I just have to sit with the energy. Now I just have to sit with this idea that I am completed, and I need to sort of remember what this felt like. The journey is usually the best part of these accomplishments that we make, because you look back at the journey that you went through and you say, well, this came up and I was able to get through it, and remember when this happened. And the gate 33 is really saying, okay, remember. And the only way to remember is to slow down. What people don't understand is that if you have an experience, and before you even sort of sit with that energy for a minute, you just jump into something new, you will lose that energy of what that other experience felt like, because you're already into something new. And I think that the world that we live in, we're just always moving and pushing to get that next thing to get, or that next new experience, or that next something. And we don't stop and pause and understand that pauses of life are just as important as the times that we're moving. So this is where the gate 33 is saying, okay, this is where the sun is illuminating the idea that you deserve to have the time to remember what you want to remember, to sit with your energy, to be alone. The gate 33 is an alone gate, so it's okay to be alone. And if we look at it from the second line, this is surrendering to the idea that you will know the correct call for you. In other words, not every call that comes to a second line, and we do talk a lot about the second line and the call that you receive. In other words, somebody says something about you, or they pick out a talent, or they say that you're good at this, or you're not good at that, or there's something that they're giving you that maybe is something that you hadn't seen before, and they're illuminating it for you. And you can look at that and you can say, yeah, that is me. Yes, I want to explore that. Or no, I can see that may be me, but I don't really care to explore that. And this is where you're accepting the call that is correct for you. Not every single call that comes into you is going to be correct. And you will know, your body will know, yes, this is correct for you, or no, this isn't correct for you. But the only way to do that is to sort of sit in your own energy and to be out of the aura of other people and to be alone. The other thing about the gate 33 line 2, it's a very interesting energy in that if your mind gets ahead of you and is saying yes, and trying to get into the next experience and feeling the pressure of people, come on, let's go, let's do this thing, and you just don't feel like it, but yet you say, okay, I'm just going to do it anyway. What can happen is your body can rebel and say, no, this is not going to happen. So you might get a small cold, or you might just not feel very good, or some kind of where your body's not feeling its best, where you're sort of pulled out of this this need to be pushed out into the world again. And so in other words, your body makes a break for you. Now this happens with the defined will center as well, but specifically with the gate 33 line 2, this is where your body might override what your mind's saying and say, no, you're not feeling well, or you kind of twist your ankle a little bit and you don't really want to go out, or something might happen. So this is truly saying align with what feels right for you, align with what the call is that is correct for you. And when you do, again, you're going to be directed to the right path for you. And gate 33 is abstract energy, and it aligns closely with the gate 29 in that they're all sort of connected together. If you look at the gate 29, it flows up to the 46, right through the G identity center and into the 1333. So this is where you are connecting with this idea of being in your flow as opposed to the flow of other people. And that is the general theme of this whole full moon, is like being in your own flow, being in your own energy, being in your own truth, and aligning with that and being okay with that. The whole perspective of human design is to be in your own authority, to stand in your truth, to be authentic. And when we talk about authenticity, we really are talking about this idea of saying yes when you want to say yes and saying no when you want to say no. The gate 29 is the gate of yes. So it's always easy to say yes, 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 yes. But maybe you don't want to say yes. And so this full moon saying it's okay to say no. It's okay to take yourself into consideration. It's okay not to be that person that is always doing this, this, and this. It's okay to be you. And when you are okay with being you and you are okay with walking your own path, that is when you get in the flow of your own life, as opposed to being the flow of other people's lives. Because every time you're going out into the world or you're doing something that somebody else wants you to do, but you don't really feel aligned with, you just don't want to do it. Now, I know there are situations in our lives that we kind of have to do certain things, and that's just part of it. But if there is any option or choice for you to make to say no, then this is the time to make that decision for you, for your path. Because as soon as you start getting in your own flow, getting in your own truth, that's when you're literally on the path to your life purpose. And things just start to show up in your world. And there are things that you may have wanted, but you never really saw on your path because you were always walking somebody else's path. This is about walking your own path, walking your own truth. Another interesting part of this full moon is that we have Mercury in the gate 59 line 6, and we have Saturn in the gate 55 line 6. Now, if you look at those, they're in opposition, but they're also in the 6th line. This is literally half of the cross of the sleeping phoenix, which is the cross that we're moving towards in 2027. This is bringing even more of the idea of being who you are and doing what you need to do for yourself. The gate 55 line 6 is called divine selfishness. This is a selfishness that is not from the ego. This is selfishness for you need to have certain things in your life. You need to be filled up before you can give to others. And this is really what it's saying. Are you filling yourself up? Are you taking care of you? And if you aren't, then how can you give to others? And maybe you are. Maybe you're always giving to the point of depletion. And this is saying, okay, you have an opportunity to decide that you are important, that this life is your life, and that you have every right to be who you are on your own terms. And that's literally what Saturn is telling us, because it is an exaltation here. Mercury in the gate 59 line 6 is in detriment. The theme that we're looking at with Mercury here is this idea of going from one thing to the next, one relationship to the next relationship, going from one connection to the next connection, to the next connection, to the next friend, to the next person, to the next something, and not really stopping and kind of deciding, okay, who is this person? Who is this connection? Is it something more than just this fleeting moment? Can I be okay with not jumping to something brand new right away? And, if you want to let go and move on to something else, that's absolutely fine. But what this energy is really talking about is the ultimate barrier that you're going to break, the ultimate connection that you're going to make. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean that it always has to be some sort of a sexual connection or something like that. It could just be meeting that person that you really feel like you connect with, that they know you and you know them. And there's something that is there between you that you can't really explain, but it's that connection that's there. Now, when you're jumping around and not really spending time in anything, and that's just the same with experiences, as we talked about with the gate 33, you don't have an opportunity to really understand who you're connecting with and why you're connecting with them, and if there's something more. So the idea is that Mercury wants to jump around from A to B to C, and that's completely fine. And that may be more of the theme that we're seeing. And of course, we don't have control of how other people interact or how other people act in the world. All you can do is sort of prepare yourself to know that that might be part of the situation. Maybe you want to slow down and sort of find out who somebody is. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they want to move on. So being pragmatic about your connections, especially something that's fairly new, might work to your advantage. So for that reason, you might know how it might turn out. And if it turns out differently, where things are sort of moving in a direction where you're getting more connection and you're maybe it's starting to grow into something else, that's perfectly fine too. But I think holding loosely to any brand new connections, that kind of ties in with Venus too, in that Venus retrograde. Sometimes the newest connections, this is not a rule written in stone. This is something that is potential. It doesn't mean it's always going to be the case. And everybody's going to have a different experience. But the reason that I mention it is because, rather than being hurt by somebody not really taking the time to spend with you and to get to know you, and they just move on, it's better to sort of letting whatever is going to show up in your reality show up and being okay with what it is. And finally, the one thing that I have to say about this full moon is that there are a lot of third line and sixth line energies. And what that really talks about is this idea of experimenting, adapting, and kind of feeling out the territory. So it's about expecting the unexpected. Overall, this full moon feels like it's a time to connect with you, to see what you want in your life, and to go from there. And if you do decide to put yourself first, then the rewards are immeasurable. Just to remember that with the gate 19 in play, with the earth and also the moon in the gate 19, there is potential for more sensitivity, especially if you have the gate 19 or the gate 49 in your body graph. So keep that in mind. And with that said, I hope you have a very peaceful full moon, and I will be back again soon. Until then, take care and bye for now.